Some stories in music history refuse to fade. They resurface again and again through interviews, forgotten photographs, and voices of those who say they witnessed everything unfold. One such story circles around three iconic figures: Michael Jackson, Aaliyah, and Jay-Z. Behind the spotlight, insiders have long described Michael as deeply protective, especially toward younger artists navigating the intense and often complicated world of fame. Some even claim he quietly stepped in to guide or caution rising talents entering powerful industry circles. Recently, former insider Gone Deal and singer Jaguar Wright reignited this narrative, suggesting Michael may have been watching over Aaliyah during a critical period surrounded by major industry figures. While these accounts remain unverified and rooted in personal perspectives rather than confirmed evidence, they continue to spread because they tap into a larger, ongoing discussion about what truly happens behind closed doors in the music business. So, what are people really suggesting? And why does the idea of Michael stepping in for Aaliyah continue to gain momentum?
Who's the most iconic person to you that's ever worn your clothes? That's made you feel like, that's dope.
Can I give you three?
You can I would love three.
Okay. Give you four. I'll give you three.
You can give me four.
Okay, Michael Jackson.
Wow.
Aaliyah.
Awesome.
Biggie and Tupac.
Man, that's so dope.
I think, and what's crazy, when each moment happened, I didn't realize how big of a moment this was when they wore the clothes. You know what I'm saying? When these things happen. But again, once you live in the moment and accept the energy, things just happen your way. You got to be there to accept that moment. And we did each time. And that's why the brand is where it is today.
So when did Michael Jackson wear Karl Kani?
Yeah, that was cool. It's actually, it was on the front cover of Vibe magazine. It was when Kadada, Quincy Jones' daughter, she styled the shoot. She's the one who, she said Michael wanted to be hip again. So they got Michael to wear urban wear for the first time ever. So he wore Karl Kani, Tommy Hilfiger, and Diesel in the ad layout in the Vibe magazine. Nice. So him and Quincy and Kadada, all three had it on in the Vibe magazine special magazine that came out that that year.
Wow, yeah. That just sounds so amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like Aaliyah was always iconic. Like, I mean, look at me, look what I got. Like she had such an influence. Mm-hmm. And Biggie would rap about wearing dope.
Yeah, Biggie mentioned, he's the first one to actually mention my name in his songs. You know, when Biggie mentioned Karl Kani in his songs, I was like, wow, this is real. Like, I didn't realize the impact the brand was having on the streets back then. Cause, you know, back then there was no social media.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of like, music and magazines told you the impact you were having. So for Biggie to mention my name in his songs, he could have mentioned any other brand, but it was just, that's what he wore. You know what I mean? Because we took care of the big man in clothing. We were the first brand to actually go up to size 60 and give big guys fashionable clothing to wear, which is one of the things that we wanted to do.
And allow them to start acting a fool.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I know it was something when I saw white kids wearing Karl Kani, I was like, oh, he hit it. Like,
absolutely.
This is in the suburbs now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how does that feel to know that everybody wants to wear your clothes?
You know, again, I give all homage to hip hop music, to be honest with you, because, you know, that was like the foundation. Like, as hip hop music grew, our brand grew, right? Because when we first started, no other clothing brand or designers wanted to embrace hip hop artists. Because first of all, no one thought it was gonna last.
Yep.
They also felt like if I start putting hip hop artists in these clothing, my original customer may not want to buy my clothing anymore. It's not until hip hop started to blow up, they didn't care anymore. They knew they'll miss out on a big segment of where the youth is going now. So they had to embrace themselves with hip hop to stay in business, to get young men to start wearing their clothing and things like that. In terms of white kids wearing, it's like they follow what's cool. You know what I'm saying? And our biggest market in Europe, I mean, think about Italy and Germany, it's all white kids out there wearing it. But again, it was through the hip hop influence that started that whole movement in terms of fashion. And I remember I was just in Italy 2 weeks ago. Just one of his most popular rappers in Italy, he was telling me like how he's faced a lot of racism back in the days when he wore Karl Kani in the 90s. I was like, what do you mean? He said, oh man, like people like saying, why are you wearing those black people clothing? Why are you wearing this? Why are you wearing that? So we got the most rebellious kids out there switching to wear the brand. So we got all the street kids out there and they realize that they're the ones who really was influencing people in fashion. So those are the right kids that you want to wear in your clothing anyway.
To understand why many believe Michael Jackson may have tried to shield Aaliyah, you first have to look at who he was beyond the stage. Artists who worked closely with him often described a man who genuinely cared about younger talent stepping into fame. Having lived his entire life in the spotlight, from his early days with the Jackson 5, He knew firsthand how intense and complicated the industry could become. Because of that, he was known for quietly offering guidance to rising stars, helping them navigate pressure, contracts, powerful executives, and the complex circles tied to success. According to those around him, he would often caution artists about getting too close to individuals whose intentions might not be genuine. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Aaliyah was emerging as one of the most captivating young voices in music, with her signature style and composed presence setting her apart in both R&B and mainstream culture. At the same time, she was moving within influential industry networks filled with major producers, executives, and artists. This is where some insiders believe Michael began paying closer attention. Figures like Deal and Jaguar Wright later claimed he may have recognized the pressure surrounding her and attempted to offer guidance. Still, the specifics remain uncertain, built largely on personal accounts rather than confirmed evidence, leaving the story open to interpretation. By the year 2000, Aaliyah had moved far beyond being a rising name. She was now a global force, with chart-topping albums, film appearances, and a rapidly expanding fan base. With that level of success came close proximity to some of the most influential figures in the industry, including circles linked to Jay-Z and Sean Combs. Images from that era still surface from time to time, capturing artists and executives mingling at exclusive events and private gatherings. One particular set of photos that recently gained attention traced back to a 4th of July party in the Hamptons around 2000, where several high-profile names were seen relaxing together. According to Dame Dash, co-founder of Rockefeller Records, that event marked one of the first moments he and Aaliyah truly connected. Speaking later during an Instagram Live session, he emphasized that the gathering was simply a social occasion with many well-known figures present, and nothing out of the ordinary took place. Even so, the reappearance of those images reignited online conversations, highlighting just how interconnected the industry's biggest names were during that time. For some observers, these gatherings were nothing more than routine celebrity networking, but for others, they reflected the powerful environments young artists were often required to navigate. It's within this setting that some believe Michael Jackson may have grown concerned, knowing from experience how complex and intense those circles could become. Adding to the conversation, Gene Deal, who once worked closely with Sean Combs, has reignited attention with his own claims. Over the years, Deal has spoken openly in interviews, sharing what he says he witnessed during his time around the music industry, further fueling ongoing debates about what was really happening behind the scenes.
Epstein, who may have some dealings with Diddy, he died in that place. So they may have a good case, but it's still up to the prison system to decide where he go. The lawyer, and they don't care how much money you got, but it's based on the lawyer. So that's why if you ever seen online recently, people coming out, they getting ex-COs or wardens or detectives to speak out and say how dangerous Brooklyn MDC is. That's their lawyers them paying people to come out and talk about that, so to try to help persuade the courts, which is the part of the prison system, to see what they're gonna do. Would they do anything to say, yo, listen here, man, this guy's life might be danger over here because people think that he has something to do with Pac, people think he has something to do with Biggie, and they right here in Brooklyn. You understand? It's right here in Brooklyn, and some of the people are still mad that he made making it a band walk to Brooklyn from, to get the cheesecake, and just around the corner from the Cheesecake Factory. So, Juniors. So it might be some dumb. So y'all need to get him out of here and ship him to Jersey because somebody gonna kill him over here. Those are good arguments, if you want to call it, but it's bull. He gonna get the same treatment no matter how much money he got from them correction officers. Because if they don't and they get caught giving him preferential treatment, they're gonna lose their job.
So you feel like Pac fans will try to do something to him?
Pac and Biggie fans. He can have issues with both of them because a lot of people think, because of the statement that Keefe D made, that he did something to Pac. A lot of people know or think that because of Biggie leaving, they finding out that Biggie was leaving Bad Boy, that he may have had something to do with Biggie. People feel that way. You hear it all the time. You see it all the time on the chats and all that stuff.
Have you heard the reports about Diddy being worried about his kids?
Bro, he get phone conversation. He get a phone call just like everybody else. And now they got all kinds of things where you got guys got iPads, guys got telephones, iPads, and all that in prison. So his kids are well taken care of. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't worrying about those kids before he got locked up. Not like that. Maybe with the baby, but the other girls, they seem like they fine. Quincy seemed like he's doing a good job in making sure that those girls are being taken care of. And the rest of everybody else is grown. Or they young adults. So that's just a ploy, bruh. All that's a ploy to, try to change the circumstances in this situation. But they won't change. His circumstances and situation as far as the correctional facility and where he's being housed at is not going to change until the courts tell him to change it. So all these things that the lawyers is putting up, all these things that the lawyers is saying, it ain't going to do him no good, bro. It's not going to do him no good until the courts and his lawyers come in with some good briefs and say, yo, listen here, our client should be released because he did this. If it's 3 months from now, and Diddy has to go to, he's been in jail and then he has to go for another bail hearing, you better hope that he been in a drug program while he was in jail. He cleaned. You understand what I'm saying? He did something to show the judge that he's different from the first day he walked in.
In these discussions, Gene Deal has suggested that major figures in entertainment often operate within tight-knit circles where influence, business, and personal relationships all intersect. According to him, younger artists sometimes step into these environments without fully grasping how complex those dynamics can be. While reflecting on various industry experiences, he also highlighted the deep respect many artists had for Michael Jackson, not just as a global icon, but as someone who had witnessed the harsher realities of fame from an early age. Because of that, Deal implied that Jackson would occasionally try to guide younger performers who might not yet understand the pressures around them. Some listeners interpreted his words as hinting that Jackson may have been concerned about certain situations involving Aaliyah, though it's important to recognize that these ideas are largely based on personal viewpoints rather than confirmed evidence. Even so, his interviews reignited the narrative that Jackson felt a quiet responsibility to advise rising talent navigating powerful industry spaces at a young age. Adding to the ongoing conversation, Jaguar Wright has also kept attention on these topics, becoming known in recent years for making bold statements about the music industry and what she believes are the unseen dynamics shaping it behind the scenes.
Well, because the Me Too movement was a ruse. It was a setup. It was a scam. I'm saying that now, publicly. Dream Hampton spearheaded the Surviving R. Kelly campaign, which fueled the Me Too campaign. And that was all funded by Sean Carter to make sure that Robert Kelly went to jail. Get his lick back. Why is nobody understanding that Dream Hampton was being financed and ran by Sean Carter? They were able to go and get all of these witnesses because he was there with Robert Kelly. How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aaliyah and Robert Kelly? This is insane that people keep refusing to see what's right there. If the Me Too movement were real, why aren't they speaking now? They've also been very quiet in this time of the diddler's downfall.
Jaguar,
guess they're on vacation.
If this goes to court, Jaguar, do you think that the world is going to be shocked by what comes out?
Oh, absolutely. I just don't know why they are. It's been happening in front of everyone's faces for decades. For decades.
How many victims?
What's the difference between me and Judy Garland? Social media.
How many victims?
There was none for her.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
Thousands. Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself. I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim Porter?
Keeping people against their will. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane. Unconscious. There's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about, Pierce.
Listen, like I said, Jay-Z and Beyonce are not here, unfortunately, to respond to that.
I know. I'm just being honest with you.
You're perfectly entitled to your views, obviously. Kim Porter,
yes.
A new book claims that Diddy may have been involved in her early death. What do you think of that?
I think people should really look into that more. I am friends with Albie Shore. I love him. I love his children. I knew Kim. We used to all hang out together at the Kit Kat Club back in the mid-90s when Diddy was first starting his reign. I watched that whole thing happen. And everything that Albert has been through, every attempt on his life that has been ignored by the authorities, it all leads back to Diddy. And everyone knows it. The wiretapping of the phones, putting air tag on children during visits. These are normal practices that these people do.
Jaguar Wright has consistently argued that some legendary artists understood far more about the entertainment world than the public ever realized, and in her view, Michael Jackson was one of them. She believes he had a deep awareness of how the industry truly operated and the intense pressures young performers often faced. In one discussion, Wright suggested that Jackson may have been concerned about the environment surrounding Aaliyah as she advanced in her career, tying her claims to a broader belief that certain artists quietly tried to shield others from the harsher realities of fame. However, her statements remain highly debated. Some see them as revealing difficult truths, while others question the lack of solid evidence behind them. Regardless of perspective, her interviews have played a key role in reigniting conversations about how Jackson may have interacted with and supported younger talent during his peak years. At the same time, despite ongoing rumors and speculation, Jackson's public connection with Jay-Z included several positive moments. In the early 2000s, they appeared together at major events and even shared creative space, including a standout moment at the 2001 Summer Jam concert hosted by Hot 97, where Jackson surprised the crowd by joining Jay-Z on stage, creating one of the most unforgettable highlights of the night.
My favorite album is, I would say, on Off the Wall, because I've been listening to it now. I got a couple favorites. Very difficult to say your favorite album, but you know, Off the Wall was one of those albums that were timeless, that didn't have a genre. It didn't have it was colorless. It was ageless. Like me and my mom listened to it. I listened to it. It was just like one of those things that the whole family, listened to. I think it was the perfect album. I think Thriller, although it was the biggest album, had huge records, but these records that were on Off the Wall was so timeless and, emotional. And I'm about to get the buzzer like I'm at the Grammy.
The two artists didn't just cross paths, they collaborated as well. Jay-Z featured on the remix of Michael Jackson's track You Rock My World, and longtime Rockefeller producer Just Blaze revealed that Jackson even shared creative input on the remix of Jay-Z's Girls, Girls, Girls. These moments made their public dynamic appear professional, respectful, and creatively aligned, which is why stronger claims of conflict between them remain difficult to confirm. Still, fans often note that the music industry is layered, and what's seen publicly doesn't always reflect the full reality behind closed doors. More than 20 years later, Aaliyah's legacy continues to hold a powerful place in music history. Her sudden passing in 2001 left countless fans wondering how far her influence could have reached had her journey continued. Because of that lasting impact, every resurfaced photo or interview, especially when voices like Deal or Jaguar Wright share their perspectives, quickly reignites discussion, spreading rapidly online and keeping the conversation alive.
It was just me and her. Like during that time, here's what the issue was. We all was, like a family. Missy, Timberland, her, myself, Magoo, Player, Tweet, all of us.
I love how you keep naming all of them.
I
love that. I love that.
I got to.
I love that, Lloyd.
I got to give it. That's the Lloyd's hear me.
I respect that.
But her and I weren't seeing eye to eye. You know what I mean? And I think it had a lot more to do with her loyalty to her uncle. Then it had to do,
Who you were beefing with at the time, or?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, cool.
With her uncle, Barry Hankerson, as he was the record head, and he was the company was my manager. I just decided to leave because of whatever reason. You know what I mean? And so, of course, her loyalty is to her family. And so, that's where it pretty much stemmed from. We ain't had no beef or nothing. There's a woman. I ain't beefing with no girl. You know what I mean? But it was just one of those things where our time had separated, know? And so I always wanted to make sure that we were cool. But, I never got the chance and an opportunity, to explain whatever it was, because things that was happening, I'm pretty sure she was just being told whatever it was, the narrative of whatever it was with me. But It was a lot behind that. And I think at the end of the day, she understood. But Missy came and she told me one time she had a dream that Aaliyah said, "Don't worry about it, she forgive me." And I cried.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's deep. Take a shot for that.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yep.
Go and get the shot.
Rest in peace, Aaliyah.
Yep.
Woo! Where do you think Aaliyah would be if she was still alive in this day and time?
I would want her to be on the level where B is.
Talking about
Beyonce, yeah. But you just never know. I know that she was headed toward that direction. Like she was doing the movies, she was doing, of course, she was doing music, she was dancing and all that. So, we just will never know, and that's the bad thing about it.
The presence of icons like Michael Jackson and Jay-Z naturally draws even greater attention, especially as fans remain curious about how these legends connected during a time when hip-hop and R&B were reshaping the global sound. At the same time, it's crucial to separate verified history from speculation, as many of the narratives circulating today are built on personal opinions, interpretations, or memories shared long after the fact. Still, these conversations point to something many artists have quietly acknowledged for years. Behind the glamour lies a world of complex relationships, influential networks, and unseen pressures. Looking back, it's clear the industry has always been driven by powerful personalities and layered dynamics, with figures like Aaliyah playing a lasting role in shaping modern music culture. The perspectives shared by Deal and Jaguar Wright have once again sparked debate about what may have been happening behind the scenes. Some believe Jackson stepped in to guide younger artists because he understood fame's risks better than most, while others see these ideas as interpretations that evolved over time. What remains undeniable is Aaliyah's enduring legacy. Her influence still resonates, and fans continue to feel a deep connection to her artistry. In the end, the full truth behind many of these stories may never be completely known, but the ongoing discussion reflects how strongly people care about protecting artists and uncovering the reality behind the spotlight. So the question still stands: was Michael Jackson simply offering guidance, or was he trying to signal something deeper? Share your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Until then, stay real.